Greetings to you and welcome to today's special podcast. I hope you are doing well. In fact, today I thought of sharing with you my special tips on how to learn a foreign language, okay, or any new language of your choice. How do you learn a new language? For instance, I am originally a Ghanaian and I speak a couple of Ghanaian languages, including my own mother tongue, which is Dagari or Dagati. I speak Twi. I speak, other languages, right? Ghanaian languages. And in addition to all this, I also speak English as what a Ghanaian born because Ghana is an English speaking country, right? We learn English at school, but in our various houses, we speak in what? Our mother tongues, all right? So, but today, I'm able to speak French, right? And I cannot express the joy, okay, that I have to be able to speak a foreign language, right? Not to say our local languages are not important, but to be able to speak a new language is a plus and is something that is going to change your life forever, regardless of whether this language is popular or not. For instance, in my case, I'm from Ghana and I am actually willing today to learn other African languages like Lingala of Congo. Because when I moved here to France, I was able to, I met a lot of people from different other African countries. And I got introduced by, some Congolese friend to Lingala, which is the language that is widely spoken in Congo. And the language is so beautiful. Like when you listen to music in Lingala, it's very romantic, actually, very nice. The same, I would like to learn Swahili. Though I know these languages are not spoken worldwide, I know to be able to speak Swahili or Lingala means that when I go to Eastern or Central Africa, I will have no problem communicating. And no amount of words, like I said, can express the amount of joy that you have to be able to express yourself freely in another man's language when you are speaking to that particular person. It's very, very, very joyful, right? Moreover, in the job market, especially today, English is like, it's very, very important, right? Apart from English, think about if you could speak French. Today I'm so happy and proud to be able to speak French because this is a plus for me. I'm able to work in France. I'm able to speak to people in French. I'm able to, go about my daily activities and all of that. And imagine French is spoken in a lot of countries, especially in Africa, in Canada, here in France, in different islands, in the Caribbean, for instance, French is spoken. Similarly, English is spoken almost everywhere. English is currently English, we know by global standards, English is the scientific language and English is widely spoken and you cannot get certain positions if you cannot express yourself, be it in written or oral English. If you find yourself in France or a French speaking country, French will be very, very important and crucial if you want to work in those countries. You know, Spanish is also widely spoken. Portuguese, also to some extent, is widely spoken, right? For instance, I'm thinking of learning Spanish and Swahili and Lingala. I wish I could learn these three languages, and I know I can because I am a living testimony. I've been able to learn French, and it wasn't that difficult. So I'm going to share with you my tips on how to learn a new language with so much ease. Tip number one that I would give is that make sure you attend some classes. The purpose of this is for you to learn the basics of the language, the grammatic basics or basis of the language. All right. This would help you know your left and right in the language. You get it? A child is very easy, but for instance, a child grows up speaking languages subconsciously, but you as an adult, it will be very, very hard for you to just, learn a new language just like that. you know, it'll be very, very hard. A child picks it up gradually and more often because the child finds him or herself in a place, is born in a place where the language is spoken, so he picks it up gradually, gradually. But you as an adult, it's also very easy, but the first thing you need to do is to attend some classes so that you would become what you'll have the basis, you know, that's in case you really want to speak the language professionally. Now, once you get those basics, the second tip is to what? Is to practice. Most people shy away from trying to speak and they forget that if you never speak, then you will never and ever make it in this language. When you don't speak, it doesn't matter all that you have learned in the class, you are going to forget of it. You are going to forget every bit of it because practicing keeps the language in your memory. When you don't practice, you cannot memorize things like that. You cannot just memorize. How many words can you memorize? It will be very hard. And moreover, if you cannot speak, the purpose of learning is to be able to speak. You know, when you can speak, now you even sometimes when you say certain things and you don't know how to spell them, you can later go and check their spellings when writing, you know. So it's important to speak. Ask yourself, how come a baby is able to speak a language or is able to learn a language though the baby doesn't have a well-developed brain compared to you, the adult? It's simply because the baby never stops trying. The baby would always try to pronounce words, and the mom would laugh at her and then teach her how to pronounce them. So speaking is key. Now, what often prevents people from speaking is what? It's the fear that people would laugh at them. Okay, sometimes, and it's often because they think they have a horrible accent. So they're like, no, if I'm gonna speak, like people would, you know. So they often prefer not to speak at all. But what you should understand is that your accent is your history. I am Idagati, that's my tribe in Ghana. I am a Ghanaian, right? I am an African. So you could trace my identity, you could never erase that away from me. As a matter of fact, when you hear an African American speaking, you know that there's an African American speaking. When you hear an African British speaking, you know that there's an African British speaking. When you hear an African French speaking, you know that there's an African French speaking. This is not a native, or let's say that is how it is. So your accent doesn't mean anything. It's simply your history. The way I pronounce words, even in my own maternal tongue, Dagari, my voice is unique. And you should be authentic and unique, right? Don't care about whether people are going to. That doesn't make no sense. Anybody that is sensible would understand that this is your second or third or even fourth language. So the most important thing is to be able to express yourself authentically, freely, and as audible as possible. As far as people can hear you, that is just the most important thing. When I speak in my Ghanaian accent as I'm speaking, maybe you watching me is a British, you watching me is an American. I definitely don't have British or let's say original British or original American accent, but you're able to understand me. As a Ghanaian, my accent is not the same as that of a Nigerian, but we are able to understand each other. So your accent means nothing. If people are to laugh at you, they could laugh at you. That is okay, but that should not stop you from speaking the language, you know? And more often, when people laugh at you, focus on what error did I make and they're laughing at me. So try to just improve if I can, but don't try to. And the purpose of learning a language is not to speak as if you were a French or as if you were a Spanish or as if you were a British or an American, you know, unless even if you are a British or you are a French and you were raised in, let's say, Canada or let's say in the US, and was, you never were taught how to speak your own language as a French. When you are coming back to learn French, don't think you're ever going to be able to pronounce French words as if you were a French born in France. It is what it is, you know. So if I'm to resume all that I said attend some classes, practice the language, don't be shy when people laugh at you, focus on why are they laughing at you. If it makes sense, learn from your mistakes. That is all. Thirdly, I said you should what? You should not mind your accent. Now, the last tip I would suggest is if you are able to spend some holidays in a place where the language is spoken, that would be a plus. You know, of course, there are people, for instance, living here in France who are able to learn English, but they never left the country. They were able to do it here. So I'm not saying it's not possible, but when you are in a place where the language is spoken, things become much easier, just like how the baby grasps language from her childhood age, or her from her infant age, she's able to learn a new language. So when you are in a place where the language is spoken, it's much easier. Please let me know in the comment section if you have some many other tips to share with the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this helped. Please subscribe. Bye.